So we just did a video, not too many videos back, about how to keep your stuff from being stolen when you're out on your e-bike. Well, how about today? Let's talk about how to not have your e-bike stolen. Let's get into it. Well, hello again, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's talk about how we can keep, or at least cut down the chance of our e-bikes being stolen. So what can we do to prevent that? I seen a study that said 2 million bikes a year are stolen just in the United States. Now I've seen another study that said it was not that many, but they said it was over 500,000 reported stolen, and they did not know how many were actually stolen that were unreported. And so whatever the number is, it's a lot of bikes. It's a lot of bikes. And if you're riding an e-bike, let me tell you, you're a good target. You're a target because they are more valuable, and people that are stealing stuff, they want something that's got some value to it. So what can we do to help minimize that chance? Well, I'm going to say first and foremost, locks are going to be the best thing we can do. Let's get that took down there and get that out of the way there. Locks are going to be the best way to cut that down. Now, a lock is not going to keep anything but an honest person from stealing your stuff. Anybody that's got any dishonesty, well, what it's going to do with them is it's going to slow them down some. But maybe that's all we need. So what kind of lock could we get? Well, a U-lock is probably the safest type to get. That's going to be your bolt with a lock across it. It goes from your frame into your tire. And they're not going to be cut by bolt cutters. It's going to take an angle grinder to cut through one of them. So that's a pretty safe lock, probably about your best. How you doing? Well, what do we have available? What's available on that? You know, you can get a kryptonite, a basic, that about $20 you can get one. And if you buy one from Kryptonite, if you have it registered, they're going to cover you up to $500 if your bike gets stolen. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. And they're going to be, like I said, they're in the $20 range. Now, what else do we have available? Well, probably the cream of the crop on that is going to be the Kryptonite New York Standard Heavy Duty lock. Now, that's going to give you up to $4,000. That covers most e-bikes, or a lot of e-bikes are covered under that. You have to have it registered, and it's going to be a very heavy duty one. Cost on that's going to be right about $100, but that's pretty cheap insurance, to be honest with you, if you live in an area that, you know, that's somewhat of a problem. A matter of fact, we're going to say the Kryptonite New York Standard lock is going to be our featured item today. So that's going to be the first link in the description. If you're interested in looking further into that, well, if you'd click through that link, we would certainly appreciate that. And everything that we discussed today that you're going to be able to purchase, there will be links in the description, and they'll be up on top. So that's for a U-lock. What other type of locks are there? Probably the most common is going to be a folding lock. They are becoming more and more common, and it makes sense. They're easily transportable because they fold down into a small size, and they open up into a large size. It's difficult to get through them. You can't get through them with bolt cutters or anything like that because you've got these bars connected together. On the con side of it, there's links on each one of them, and some of the links you can drill through with a battery powered drill. What kind of a cost are we looking at for that? Well, you know, like something like your Amazon Basics or Amazon Choice is going to be about a $35 lock. You can get an auto lock. They're going to have a little higher grade hardened steel for the links, and they're going to be about $65. So that's going to be your choice and things like that. And then your other choice is going to be a chain and a lock, or a cable and lock. Those are going to be, oh, you're looking at anywhere from $15 on up to about $35, $40. I mean, I'm sure you could get more expensive than that. I'm positive of that, but that's going to be your typical price for them. Master Lock makes them. Kryptonite makes those type of locks as well. And so they're available. Which one do you choose? Well, that's going to depend on you personally. When Michelle and I go out, we don't let the bikes get out of our sight. So, you know, a minimal lock would be plenty sufficient for us. If you're going out and you're at a hotel and you got your bike on your rack, you better have a good one. You better have a good one for something like that. So, you know, that's going to all depend on who you are and, you know, how you do with your bike. Now, once we get this lock, we got to learn to actually use it correctly. I've seen a lot of bikes locked up and they've got the front wheel locked to a post somewhere. Well, if you pick the bike up, you can take it right over the post on a lot of cases. Even if you can't do that, you can drop that front wheel off and throw the bike into a van or a truck in about 10 or 15 seconds. So, you know, what you want to lock is you want to lock to the frame itself, preferably with a good solid lock there, and then lock the wheels to the frame. That would be a way to really lock up your bike there. Your battery. How many of you guys have tried to buy another battery? That's probably the most expensive part of your bike. If you cannot take that battery off and take it with you, lock that battery in somehow. And I don't mean with the little lock that they supply you with, because that can be broken very, very easily, and then they walk out of there with a high-powered battery. I'm talking about, you know, an outside lock to lock that battery on is always a good idea. What else? When you lock it in a well-lit, high-traffic area. That's going to be a good idea for you as well. Now, that's pretty much covering locks as far as I'm concerned. Put comments down there on what your guys' experience is with locks. And let's talk about the next thing we can do. An alarm. If I want to be out there and riding around and I stop somewhere and go into a store, if I'm doing a grocery run and I, you know, walk into a store, or stop at a restaurant, go into a store, an alarm could be a good thing. They go off, most of them, I think all of them have a remote, and they're going to have a loud beep that's going to draw attention if they don't get there. Oh, what are we talking about? Let's see if we can swing across here for alarms. You know, you've got the Fosmon alarm, 17 bucks. I mean, that is going to be a pretty darn good deal there. That's some pretty cheap insurance there for that. What else do we have for alarms though? How about, you know, a lot of these bikes are coming out with turn signals and brake lights, and you know, that seems to be the big thing. What about an alarm? You know, you can look at the Onvian smart tail light, and it's a tail light, it's turn signals, it's a brake light, it's an alarm, and it's rechargeable. Boy, you got a lot of stuff all there in one, and you're looking at roughly, if you happen to notice what I'm doing here, I've actually taken some notes this time to see how that kind of works out. So that's why I'm swiping across my phone here every once in a while. But you know, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck there, because you're looking at about $35 for something like that, and a lot of them are available between the $30 and $45 range. So, and we're going to put the list a link for the ones that we looked over the reviews. They have good reviews. You know, any of these links or something that's going to have a good review on it. And they're recommended. They're recommended. We may not own them, but they are recommended. So what else can we do to keep them? Michelle. Haha, Michelle is with me today. She has been staying quiet. I'm going to go slow down this hill here so I just don't wipe out the sound. But storing a bike when you're traveling, what's your best idea?
I mean, are you storing it like at a general stopover, or at like a
overnight? Overnight.
The best is always to be able to take it inside.
That's right.
You know, so I mean, we got our trip coming up for West Virginia here shortly, and that was the #1 thing for me to be able to stay at a place, was I have to be able to take the bike inside.
Now, did you hear what she said there? That was the #1 thing that we looked at, was can we put the bike inside? There's a lot of controversy about that, and I've seen a lot of folks saying, well, you can't put your bike in the hotel. They won't allow it anymore. Go to another place. We've done quite a few trips, and we've not found anything that could not be done, that we could not take our bikes in.
They won't allow you to take your bike inside?
Hazard of fire hazard on the batteries.
Okay, then the batteries can just stay outside.
Well, but and I can tell you the problem you're going to run into then with most places is they don't know what's battery and what's not. They just know they have a policy that says no e-bikes are going to be allowed in here, so they're just going to go off of their policy. You know, when policies get involved, common sense is boom, gone. The more a policy takes over, the more common sense gets left by the wayside. So, and there are a lot of hotels that do not allow that, you know, but we find places that do, and we've done a decent amount of overnight trips. What about when you're not just overnight, but you know, we might stop somewhere when we're on some of these trips? She just said we're going to West Virginia. How far off is that, Michelle?
3 weeks.
No, I mean distance. Distance. How long are we going to be on the road to get there?
It's a 5-hour drive.
5-hour drive. How you doing today? Okay, so that's not too bad. So we're not going to probably be stopping anywhere. I mean, maybe gas or a drink or something like that, but we're not going to have to stop for dinner or anything. At one point, we were planning to combine a business trip with pleasure, and we were going to go to Missouri with the bikes. That would have been a much longer trip. It ended up, I can tell you right now, that trip we're making it on an airplane. It's primarily for business, and so we're just going to do it that way instead of taking the bikes. We kind of hate it, but at the same time, we know to really have a justified trip, we are going to, Michelle, this is another steep downhill. How far back are you there?
Just right here.
You're right here. You can see me because we're turning left down Graceland.
Yeah.
Okay, there you are. You was kind of in a sunny spot back there. And don't know how I didn't see that beauty. That was shining, and I mistook that for the sun maybe. But you know, when you're stopping for dinners and things like that, when you're on the road, when we do, on occasion, we'll go out and we might ride for 4 or 5 hours. We're not going to be that long today because this is actually a weekday, but we might stop for lunch on a weekend. If we've been out riding for 5 or 6 hours, we might stop and grab some lunch somewhere. Michelle,
Yeah.
have we ever stopped at lunch and not had our bikes within sight from where we're sitting down to eat?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. And so, you know, keep it to where you can see them. How about storage at home? I got a quick little story here for you. I had an occasion where we live. We had one time a sheriff come down our place at about 11 o'clock at night. Now there's no street lights around there. I see a car coming down at 11 o'clock at night. I went outside to find out what was going on because nobody had business coming to come down there at that kind of a time. And it was a sheriff patrol, and that was fine, and I got to talking to him. And as we were chatting, well, I will say this much. How you doing today? I told him I did not know who was coming down our long driveway, so I came out there with some personal protection. And I just told him I'm going to lay that, and he was fine with that, you know, no problem with that. But we was talking, and of course he can't really see a whole lot around him, but he says, you know, this is really nice back here, unless somebody comes back here and bothers you. What we're getting into right here, guys, is the only place in Umstead, and it's along this power line, that doesn't have a lot of shade on it. And for some reason, we always take this little route where it's uphill. Well, we don't care, because we're on e-bikes. Ha ha, we don't have to pedal. But this is the one spot that gets warm. Oh, okay, rabbit hole. But anyway, he says, you know, this is pretty nice back here, as long as nobody comes back here to bother you. And that's kind of the mentality of law enforcement, and I understand that. And I just kind of said to him, I said, well, you know, I got enough wet back there, I could bury a body and nobody would ever find that. And he started to laugh, and then he stopped for a second. I'm surprised the FBI wasn't sitting there the next day. But at my particular home, one of the things that is very, very important is how you doing today. There's one way into my place and one way out of my place. And you know, people that are up to no good, they're looking for a path of least resistance. They're not wanting to tangle with somebody that comes home unexpected. And so we've got a little bit of safety just from that aspect. You know, if somebody were to be down there up to no good and we come home, they're stuck there. They're gonna have to go through us. And generally speaking, people are not interested in that. So that helps out a little bit. But what else can we do for that? You know, we've got cameras around our place that record what's going on a property. We lock up our shed where the bikes are at. The batteries are not kept inside there, but we lock that up. What else can we do? You know, we've got a cover at home that's for covering up bikes that we originally purchased for when we were traveling. Yeah, it's not so good for that. We're going to have a video coming out on that. But I see a lot of people putting bikes under covers, and in areas that they really shouldn't be doing that. They're going to be some of that up to 2 million statistic pretty soon. So if you're going to keep your bikes, or well, no, when you keep your bikes at home, keep them in a safe location at home. If you're in an area that you can't leave them locked up on a porch without them getting stolen, don't leave them on the porch. Take them in the house if you have to, or have them in a locking shed if it's not safe enough to have it in something like that. You know, like I say, ultimately, put them in your house. Put them in your house. My daughter, she doesn't have an e-bike, and we offered to buy her one day. Now, we tried to raise her right. I think, as far as I am concerned, she's doing so good in spite of me, not because of me. But she said, nah, I don't want an e-bike, Dad. And I said, why not? Because she's come out and cycled with us sometimes, but you know, she's not really able to keep up on the hills and stuff like that. And so that's why we was going to get her one. She said, well, because I live in Raleigh, I want my bike to go in the house, and I don't want to carry a heavy e-bike. I might be on the 3rd floor of an apartment. That's actually what she is right now, is on a 3rd floor apartment. She says, I don't want to have to try and carry an e-bike up that many stairs. This is my favorite location right here. This is our chainsaw tree. We're just going to take a quick shot of it. It's on other videos that we've done. That is just incredible, incredible, incredible. I love it, the view of that. But we're going to ride on. But she said, Dad, I don't want to have to carry that thing upstairs. So, but she does understand the importance of, hey, I got to be able to protect my stuff. And so she's not going to leave it. They've got a, you know, garage with her apartment. She said, I know that's not safe enough for something like that. If it's something they can carry, it's going to disappear if it's got any kind of value to it. And she has a pretty nice bike. I was shocked when she went out and bought it, because she never wanted to ride when she was at home so much. When we started riding e-bikes and she rode with us some on our e-bikes, she really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed it. So she went out and she bought herself a regular bike. And that was one of her main reasons for not getting an e-bike. Is, Michelle, we're going to turn to the right up here onto Turkey Creek.
Okay.
Is because she didn't want to have the hassle of, depending on where she lives, to be able to secure it. I thought that was pretty mature. That was pretty mature. So, but same as when you're out traveling, you know, keep it in a well-lit place. If you got to lock it up, if it's in a shed, lock it to something solid and lock to the frame, lock the wheels together. What else can we do? Well, one of the probably, I don't see Michelle, I see her back there. Write down the serial number of your bike. How many of you guys have thought about that? If you were to have that serial number to get stolen, at least you can turn it in as being stolen. A lot of people don't think of that. Are they going to get recovered? It's not a great chance, I can tell you. It's not a great chance, but there is a chance, and that serial number will help you. What else can you do? Well, if all else fails, you can always get insurance for it. That's going to be a very wise thing for some people in some situations. Boy, it looks like they come through here and drug this road here, Michelle. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's a lot smoother than it was
Yeah,
last time.
yeah, it's a lot smoothed out from what it was. Yeah, good for them. Good for them. This feels good. But yeah, you can always get bicycle insurance or homeowners insurance that will cover that, you know, put it on your insurance. Michelle,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add in here?
Well, another thing is you could put not a tattoo, but a discriminating mark on your bike in case it does get found and the serial number has been rasped off of it.
What a cool idea. What?
You can
What a cool idea.
somewhere where they're not going to know, you know, because they're going to look for they're going to think about the serial number, because that's normal. But if you put like a mark, like some type of identifying mark on it, you know, that would help.
That is a great idea. Wow, wow. See, here I am going down rabbit holes, and your mind is thinking. Your mind is thinking. Anything else you want to add in there, Michelle? I'm hoping this audio is coming through there pretty good. Michelle's not wired up today. We're just using the helmets for her voice on this. She just said, I don't want to wear that lavalier thingy or the mic thingy. But anything else there, Michelle?
Not really, except for I'm actually out of your sight and the helmets are still working.
Yeah, they're actually working very well right here. Well, I think that has a little to do with we're on a pretty windy, and so we're not real far. You know, when we did the original test on these helmets, we was pretty far when we got out of sight. And here we're in the woods and kind of windy. There you go. I see you way back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are working good. So, but hey, we're gonna wrap it up on that. I went down so many rabbit holes, and this is, I want to see some comments down here about your ideas of what I missed. You know, I miss a lot of these things. I tried to throw a few notes down, and half the time I can't see them because the sun's hitting my phone a certain way, and they're not very long. So I know I've missed some stuff, but I want you guys to chime in on there. You know, if we all get ideas working together, we all come out a little bit smarter on the other end of it. So get your comments down there, and that's going to wrap it up for this one. Hey, right here in Umstead Park in Raleigh, North Carolina, this is Southern E-Biking and Mrs. Southern E-Biking. And we're not wired tight together, but we got the wireless helmets going. Hey, I tell you, until the next time, Internet, stay safe, God bless, and keep the wheels turning. Once again, we are out.